to the podcast.
Hello, this
My
is
name is
Semi-Woo.
Amanda. She's Semi-Woo. I'm Amanda. Just
We're
kidding.
just coming back from a week of camping, so we're still getting into the flow of electronics. We have an amazing show today. We're so excited to bring Lady Krishna into the studio. Hello and welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, we just met today, but we all have already been feeling like we've met in another life.
No,
or two.
I feel like I feel like I've known you forever.
Same Zeus.
I'm having a
And you know what's crazy?
Deja
We-
vu.
We stalked you online, and I saw a picture, and you were on 10th and A in New York, and we lived.
it was I think it was B.
We lived on 7th
Okay, we
and
lived
B.
on 7th and B.
Wait, you lived on 7th and
By
B?
the
Seventh and
Horseshoe
B
Bar.
in
By
East
the
Village. Right.
what is it called?
No,
Vazneck?
it's Horseshoe Bar.
Yeah, Horseshoe Bar.
Horseshoe Bar.
Wait,
lived right by there.
wait,
Honey,
wait.
this is what I've
You
been saving.
you were saving it.
Yeah.
You lived on. Wait, you lived on 7th.
Between B and C, right in the middle. By what's the sake bar?
Satsko's.
Sasko. Sake
Well, that
bar.
wasn't there
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
I
it's
was there,
newer.
but the
That's still the best place in New
the
York.
Horseshoe Bar is still there.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
So I lived on 10th and B.
right up the street.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Couple buildings in, but when when I lived on 10th and B, you couldn't get a cab home at night.
Oh, is that yeah?
Heck yeah.
Now you couldn't get a cab home, and on either side of my building, like complete bombed out buildings.
Wow.
I have all the photographs, graffiti,
would
and
love
on
to
the
see
other
those.
side, completely bombed out. And then there was Life Cafe, that was Kitty Corner, that was always there.
Okay.
And then there was a motorcycle club down like a few doors down, and then Tompkins Square Park,
Sure.
and the Christadora was always but it was vacant for a long time. But the Christadora, and then anyway,
This is the time in New York.
It was a
that
different-
I always was like, oh,
it was
I
a-
wish I
it
could
was-
survive it.
What years was
well,
that?
I moved to New York in the beginning, the February of
Oof, right in the winter.
1979.
Ooh.
Okay.
So
But
that's when that area was notorious. Because
But
when I
I-
moved there, my uncle was like, "You can't move there." I'm like, "It's different. There's wine
Well,
and cheese."
Yeah.
There, I didn't. That's not. I lived. That's not where I lived when I lived in. I lived in so many places
Sure.
in New York, but But that was when I landed in 1979.
Yeah.
Lady Krishna does not talk about her age.
Oh, well, I
she's
would never ask
Tight as
that.
a tight
and I
as
would
tight.
never.
She was dropping low in the courtyard when I picked her up, and she dropped low. I was like, I can't even get that low.
Yeah, this
She was
thing.
ready to dance party, and I was like,
No,
Ooh.
this thing that I am in.
She's
Temple.
pointing at her body.
Yeah.
Everybody. I wish you could see it.
Oh, that is so funny. So wait, so I love the
This
Horseshoe
is how we have
Bar.
known each other because our energies are kind
The
of hanging out.
Horseshoe Bar. I love the Horseshoe
Yeah.
Bar. No, I spent some time
This one
there.
over here is notorious.
Oh, I loved it. I
Well,
loved everybody in there.
once upon a time, once upon a time, there was an old, Mark Boone Jr., who was he bartended there, and then his performance art partner was Steve Buscemi, so these are old pals of mine, and then Mark had this old car, like it was some kind of clunker of a 60s car, and then he had this dog Hank, and Hank was part wolf.
Oh,
And on full moons, I would go out with Hank.
he would howl.
Oh, Hank and I, because Hank would in the winter, Hank would just lay on top of the car because it was warm, waiting for Mark to get off work. And there was it was a whole other,
That's so cute.
you
What a
know,
world.
but and the thing is that now people are like old. I went back to New York after I hadn't been back in 11 years.
Oh wow.
This one from just 11 years ago. I went
Right,
back last year.
Yeah.
And then and then that's how to circle around. That's so the girls at Linda's, Leonie and Vanessa,
Yeah.
thought I ran into them after I had come back.
Yeah.
and they got scared that I was going to move back to New York.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they got scared that because they, even though I wasn't hanging out so much at Linda's or seeing them, hanging out there, you know, a little bit. You know, so I go in and
Yeah,
Because
those
I-
girls
because I-
own a
because
lot
I
of
had-
stuff, right?
I had been. I mean, I've been in town for a while, so you know, you ebb and flow where you're hanging
Oh, that's
out.
Right.
really. Yeah.
But the girls thought I was going to leave. They thought I was going back to New York, and I ran into them when they were playing pool at, you know, Bill's off Broadway one night.
Yeah.
I was coming back from the grocery store. It was a full moon.
Yeah.
They waved me in, and they said, You're not going back to New. You're not going to go back and live there. Right? They were scared. They were scared that I was going to
People
go.
like us that move
Seattleites
around
know
a
They
lot,
were
yeah.
they were
lose
going
people to
they,
New
they were
York a
going to
lot.
they were scared, and if I wanted to, I know there are places I could.
Oh, I'm
I mean, it's
sure.
not that I couldn't go back, but all of a sudden it's that I live here. I mean, all of a sudden I'm not going back. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back
And
to
it's
to move.
must be so different.
What's a
now,
whole other?
too.
It's a different. It's a
Yeah.
different scene. I put some roots down here,
Yeah.
and so they said, "Well, what do you want? What would you like? What can we do for you?" And I said, "Well, Lady Krishna would always wanted to be on the jukebox."
Oh.
So so we started this organizing of the Lady Krishna's jukebox dance party,
Oh, okay, that
So-
sounds right up our alley.
which turned
Wow.
into this was last May, not
Yeah.
this past May, but maybe this was
Like a year ago,
ye-
man.
a year ago May, and then that started the whole process of like the girl I'd been playing guitar with. I knew she didn't want to do this project. I mean, we had been working together we had spent time 2 depressed Seattle winters. You know,
Done
so
it,
it wasn't like
done
it wasn't like we were always together working, but we had these periods where she would record me singing, and we were in this cramped, our practice space ended up being so full of gear. I mean,
Yeah.
at Crybaby, I mean, we were just like, we had like this much, like I'm showing, I'm putting like
Like a
basically-
shoebox.
yeah,
Tiny inches.
we could turn around if we were lucky. So having then they wanted us to say, well, why don't we'll put you on the jukebox, and then
Cool.
you could do a live show. And I didn't want to drag in Lady Krishna's Peppermint Lounge. I didn't want to drag in the boys to do a show in a small space like that.
Yeah.
You know, and then I thought, we'll just do Cosmic Panties. So we had already
Ooh,
decided.
so what is Cosmic
so-
Panties? I want to know more about this.
Cosmic Panties was just Brady and I together.
It's Brady in Peppermint Lounge.
No. Lady Krishna's Peppermint Lounge.
Lady Krishna's Peppermint
That's my
Lounge.
band.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the formal band I've had for over a decade with the
Wow,
boys. That's
cool.
that band we've had put out. Meet Me After the Show, Him Like Rapture, and pop singles.
Is that when you were recording in the original
No,
Chop House Row?
No, we were practicing.
Practicing,
You would
right,
never
right.
record in
Right,
there.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
mean,
just
From
crazy.
what I
no,
heard,
you're
no.
you're not. No, we recorded with Tom at Ground Control.
Cool.
No, that's where, and Eric Blood produced. Well, he worked on both those records, and
Awesome.
I knew we were going on into
No, I
these.
love
these-
these words.
but-
yeah.
The
But
whole world, I
so-
want to know.
Cosmic Panties. That was one of the songs. So they say, okay, that's what I'm calling this project. It's
Yeah.
called Lady Krishna's Cosmic Panties.
Yeah.
It's Cosmic Panties. And so, but I knew that, you know, I knew Brady wasn't into, I knew she wasn't all the way into, I knew this wasn't going to continue. She didn't want this. She said, I just said, let's do a show. I mean,
Yeah.
they wanted us to do a show. And so I thought, all right, we'll do this show. So I booked studio time
Oh, wow.
because I knew that this was going to be this wasn't going to be this
Special.
wasn't going to be an affair that was going to last forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so
Once in a lifetime.
well, and these moments are all once in a lifetime.
Yep.
I mean, seize the day. I mean,
I
part of it
agree.
is that
Who
if I
knows?
had waited in my life, if I had waited for every commission as an artist, as a painter, if I had waited for the money,
Oh, honey.
I would not
That's where
have
we're
the
at.
body of work that I have today.
No,
Because my
amen.
childbearing years, I produced a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that work. I produced a lot. I mean, it was
Yeah.
nuts because
Yeah.
all mothers are crazy. And
Yeah.
I was a crazy mother too
Yeah.
with all my work
Same.
in New York.
Yeah.
In those days, those New York days, you can glamorize it now, which is, I mean, it's very glamorous, but it was, there was no, I had on Avenue B, I mean, I called the cops one night. I called the cops to come up. I said, there's a crime being committed on the top floor. And then the sirens are, coming down, they're down Avenue B and they're coming and letting them in upstairs, no buzzers. I'm letting them into my apartment. And I opened the door and all these policemen are in there. And I said, this is a crime because it's ice on the windows. You can see your breath. I said, this is a crime.
Amen.
No, I lived through that. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be out there on the street with my umbrella, like laughing, like, this is what happens. I thought, okay, I'm just going to be out there screaming at those buildings.
Right.
Some of
that's what
when
New
my
York will do
favorite
to you.
buildings get turned. So,
blown
but that
out
was
crazy ones.
that was a crime. So everybody can do and it's fine to do the Vogue magazine with the movie stars. They're gorgeous and the clothes on, I've seen these things on, like you're opening the magazines and they're doing something on Avenue, now on Avenue, and which is fine. It's what happens. Things change. And they're redoing the 80s. That's great. I don't always think the clothes are exactly.
I know.
What I would have
kick out of
It's
them when
all
the distance
right.
is there.
I'm. Everything changes. Everything changes.
Everything.
You
And
can't
cycles through.
You cannot stop time. But the point is that I was in it and lived in
you
that.
were.
Oh, somebody, and it was
That
so
super creative,
satisfying
crazy
calling the
time.
police and
So
having
jealous.
them
That's
look
so
at those.
juicy.
There were ice.
Inside.
No, icicles.
And nothing would be done.
Well, because the oh, this is a whole other story about. I'm getting dizzy. I'm going back there. But my apartment I had a floor through. It was beautiful. I mean, it was that winter. It was cold because they were trying to get everybody out.
Sure.
It's a long story about.
We know the history of the East Village when
Well,
we
I
moved
think-
in
But there was
there.
a lot of there was good
Yeah.
things and a lot of dirty deals. A lot of dirty. There were good things happened, and then there were a lot of dirty deals, and I saw
Sounds
it.
like New York.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
No, there
Kind of like everywhere in the.
no.
the
There's
things that are-
everywhere where there's everywhere where large money interests want something.
Yep.
When people want something, they can go in. Oh my! I see it on my record. I have a song called Blood Bank. I'll have to play that.
So how did you? Where's this jump, this leap from this, East Village rock and roll, your band, to this
Artist,
this
yeah.
Well, I wouldn't.
world now?
I wouldn't say it was rock and roll. I was performance artist.
Sounds like
I was
rock.
playing. No, I mean, I wouldn't say it was exactly rock and roll in that sense. I mean, this is no.
East Village.
What was
this-
your art at that time?
This
Like, what
this
was
would
your-
take this conversation.
It's gonna take a lot. It would take a
No,
long
this would be.
time.
We would have to be. This could be part one.
Right.
I mean, no.
No,
This no.
right.
This could go. We could go on. This could be. We could be doing this every week for the next year.
Yeah.
And I mean it. So we could.
So we gotta get snippets. Your favorite snippets.
This is This we have to.
I want to know the story that if you could pinpoint a time, because I was actually reading on your website where you said I was having a cigarette and a martini.
Oh, at Life
So-
Cafe.
Yeah, the Life Cafe, and someone dared me
Oh, David.
to meditate.
No, not meditate. No,
Oh.
not meditate.
What they dare you to do?
They double dared me to practice hatha yoga,
oh,
not meditate. That came
Interesting.
later.
Yeah.
It was hatha yoga.
Okay.
And that was David Life, who was the then owner of Life Cafe.
Cool.
And David, and then his partner, Sharon Gannon, then became very famous yoga people in New York. They were the OJ, original Jiva Mukti.
Oh, I went there
Or
one
actually,
time.
I'm actually OJ. When I went back there, the girls who were probably, when I said that I was one of their first 5 students in a
Wow.
basement on Avenue B,
Oh my.
the girls were going, "Oh, you were OJ, original Jiva Mukti, OJ, original Jiva Mukti, OJ." And I was so David double dared me they kept asking me to come to yoga classes. And I thought, forget it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
And then David double dared me, and all right, I'll go to class. And those days, it was like, it wasn't as peace. It wasn't like,
Right.
it was basically sink or swim. I mean,
Yeah.
5 people. It was basically an Ashtanga yoga class with no. I mean, basically, it was like doing double Dutch. You jump in
Jump
there.
in.
No, there was
Oh,
no.
wow.
Right.
I'm saying it was.
No 101 classes.
It
for
was
beginners.
very raw.
Yeah.
Raw.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing about the ice on the windows and all this stuff, or the things we saw on the street, or the walking down the street. If anybody, what was it? How would I say? Yeah, if you want to, don't tell me where to get off the train, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's
Be-
what I
if
thought
you
it was
haven't
gonna
walked
be.
down Avenue C in a pair of gray stiletto lace-up boots up to here and a skirt up to there in 1980, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
No, don't tell me what to do when I could walk down those streets with my girlfriends and not
Wow.
get killed.
Amen.
No, do not tell me what to do, because people want to boss. I mean, not that I haven't been bossed around,
Yeah.
because I'm a
Yeah.
wood sheep. I mean, I'm from
We're
Seattle.
talking Chinese signs earlier.
No, I grew up here. I'm polite.
Yeah.
Tell me about these wood sheep. Are they quiet? Are they?
Well, no,
No.
we can outrun a snow leopard.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
What?
Well,
no, no
I-
sheep
I-
can
I
outrun
like
a
a
snow leopard.
Yeah.
I mean,
In essence, in
I know
essence.
this is. You know,
I believe you yourself could outrun a snow leopard.
Well,
Dang.
yeah, it's like, I can out. And when I see danger, I run.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, you see someone walk. I mean, in New York,
I'm
we're-
like that too. I'm
no,
like, I
no,
go the
no.
other
You
way.
have to stay alive. In New York, we were always like intuitively. You wouldn't even say anything. You were just always zigzagging,
Yeah.
crossing the street, because guess what? The guy is standing there with his pants down. You know what? We're going crossing the street. We don't have to go.
This is how I actually feel about Capitol Hill.
I
now.
know.
Well, you just cross the street, or someone's having someone's having a total breakdown
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
or violent.
Yeah.
You have to cross the street. You have to stay out of harm's way.
Right.
There are times where you can intervene, and in your intuition, when you go forward to help someone.
Mhm.
Someone falls down in the
Right.
street next to you.
Help
You
up.
help that person up and cross the street. There are times you have to know intuitively when to do things.
Right.
But we were always just crisscrossing. It's like this. You just crisscross, crisscross,
yeah.
crisscross,
Help
crisscross.
them walk
No,
away.
you have to crisscross, especially in a dangerous neighborhood. When I was back to New York, I couldn't believe that people were like, I mean, I was actually in shock that people were walking down the street looking
At phones.
at their cell phones, because it's not like, I
Absolutely.
mean, because if you had ever not paid attention, and I thought, what is different about New York? Because the atmosphere is different, because the
Right.
atmosphere has changed. People, it's not like that. It's not like you would never stand still. You were
Yeah.
walking. I mean, you would stand still sometimes, but I was thinking, why
then
haven't I
something crazy would
noticed
happen.
that building before? Because you're not just standing there.
You're going
Yeah.
from point A
Looking
to
at-
point B.
You and you walk fast. It's not that I didn't see everything. You just see things in this kind of
As
different.
a movement.
It's you're in motion a lot. I mean, it's not that
Yeah.
you didn't stop. I mean, you stopped to do your work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kinetic and frenetic. I mean, the energy, and it's amazing that to be like just to be here. To be alive, and thank God I had yoga, and because I started practicing early.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that what kind of kept you
among other
even
things.
keeled in that
I wouldn't
crazy
say
world?
I wouldn't say necessarily even killed, because it was crazy there too.
Right.
You have
I
a lot
know.
of yoga. I mean, you're having all this energy. They're building
my
their
God,
empire.
absolutely.
David and Sharon. They're building up Jivamukti.
Yeah.
So they're starting too. And every major, I mean, or as my friend Mario would say, every major person, every major yoga person on the planet, pretty much. I mean, at that time, came out of Jivamukti.
Wow.
Let's face it. No, everybody. You name it. They were.
They all started there.
I was practicing next to them on a mat. Or what about the day they, and these are packed. Eventually it gets packed.
Yeah.
And they go to
Oh,
second.
yeah.
It
Like
gets
mats are like
mat,
this.
no
It's in
mat to mat,
Flatiron
and
right
there was
now.
no
Yeah, it's
mat to
huge.
mat. And then one day, Willem Dafoe, he's a movie star.
course.
Yeah, of
So
course.
Willem Dafoe's in class, and then everybody, everybody, sort of the idea of everybody's in their own, we're just focused on ourselves. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, right.
yes, right, everybody. So Willem falls on my girlfriend Annie de Bethune, who's actually really is a baroness. So Annie is like, oh my God, she's like tall, not quite as tall as you, but she's tall, and this girl is stacked, honey. I mean, she is stacked, and
Bam.
she's statuesque, and she's wonderful. And he falls like right, who wouldn't fall into her bosom?
on.
He falls into her. And then a collective sigh comes out of the class. Like everybody, men, women, and if there were children there, them too. They would think, oh, why wasn't that me?
Oh,
But after-
they all wanted it to be them.
But then afterwards, Annie looked at me, she goes, oh, she said,
Ugh.
she goes, that was disgusting. Because Annie's not into like skinny white boys.
Yeah. Like, you see how stacked I am? This is not my type.
And he is definitely
isn't that
an
funny?
interesting skinny white boy.
No, but you know what I mean? Annie, who's like an Irish, girl from Boston, but she was into
She's like,
black.
"Just get off my mat."
No,
Yeah.
she was dating princes.
Oh,
I'm not
sure.
kidding.
Wow.
From
Fair
Africa.
enough.
No.
African
Baroness.
princes.
African princes. I'm not kidding. Drummers. No, she was
Wow.
no. I mean, she was something
She's
else.
good. She's like,
she
William
is something
Dafoe,
else.
no gracias. I'm out.
I know.
Isn't that funny? Okay. No, just kidding.
So then you
Oh.
popped over here. I know that makes it sound simple. I'm sure there's a train ride or a horse carriage ride or something.
I
Some
lived in New
crazy
York.
way you came out here.
I came to New York. I lived here. I lived in New York for 18 years.
Wow.
Wow.
I was in New York for 18 years, and then there was just there was a lot of stuff. There were things that happened.
It spits you out.
There was
It
a
doesn't
lot of things
request it.
there was a lot of things that happened, and I put everything into storage. I put everything in my whole life. I put into storage at Keepers, which was on Avenue C and 10th Street in the old. I mean, there were people living in the storage space. I mean, it was old school
Sure.
in New York. I mean, people were living there.
Oh, wow.
Living there. It was thank God for Annie too, because when I needed to get things organized, Annie loves my painting. So I said, Annie, all you have to do is come with me and sit here. You don't have to do anything, and I'll give you any painting.
Oh,
So I gave her a
awesome.
beautiful painting because I had to get this stuff organized. And luckily, I had a friend of mine who was working for the airlines, and basically, I moved my entire life, was able to ship it on
Yeah.
his.
Whoa.
I got everything moved for like
Nice.
$200. Do you know what I mean? It was just one of
That's
these.
so
Everything has always been that way for me. Everything is always
Yep.
kinetically.
That's us.
I know.
We're always in the groove. I mean, it's not like I'm always in the groove, because sometimes you're not in the groove, and then you're in bed for a couple years. Oh, is it?
But
Do I
you-
need to
you
get out of bed?
recognize it too. It's funny you recognize
No,
when
no.
you're not in the groove. And
No,
you're
no,
like,
no,
"Oh, I
I-
don't like this.
So you can't help crashing. You go into. You can't.
Hibernate for a while.
Well, you in Seattle, I was definitely hibernating. So
It's a good place for that. It helps me restore my energy when I shoot out for a year and I'm going big and I'm going wild. I come back here to center, and the gray, something about the gray really helps me collect and reform my newest plan and bake up something good.
Well, it's good because I mean, I used to come back to go to Eastern Washington for summers, so I would eat for 3 months and then I'd go back. But then
that
when
kielbasa, we were just out in Leavenworth.
I
I love it.
it's like just Leavenworth.
Just
They're crazy sausages.
meat does not touch these lips
Ah.
Kielbasi.
unless it's alive.
right. That's it's live meat. I do them both.
But it's interesting about all of it. It's
Sounds like
You know, we
quite-
found out about you. We
yeah.
were in the Pretty Parlor, and we were talking about how
Yeah.
we, are in this woo-woo world and doing meditation. And
what's
Ruby
her name?
Mimosa
oh,
was
I love
there.
her. I love
Mhm.
Ruby.
And she's like, well, you have to know Lady Krishna. And we were like, I think we do, because she was describing you. And that's like this full circle thing that we've been coming across, this ease and flow and getting into this world. The
Yeah.
right people kind of come in our way. And
And in
coming through our
Seattle
path.
too. It's because I lived here 2 years ago and I went to New York. I'm from California originally, so I was here for a few years. But I was in this transitional time, like, what am I doing? And kind of saving money. I always wanted to live in New York, but it was like you were saying earlier, where I had this. New York is always changing, but you talk to people at different times, and they're like, New York was better when it was like this. this or in this time or at that time.
Well,
or
it's the
at that
time they're coming up. I was in a cab with this guy when I was going to the airport, and he's like young, and he was remembering it was better, when
It's always someone
but
thinks
this,
it's
but
better at
I
a
didn't
time.
go when I went there the last time. I didn't go with any expectations of. I'm
That's
not
good.
into nostalgia for one thing, at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
I'm not into nostalgia.
Yeah.
You can time
The
is a
fresh and the
Disappoints
new.
you. It
time.
always disappoints you.
Time is it's time is. Time is. We're in it.
Yeah.
Time is. There's
Absolutely.
time is. We're in it. The moment is now. There, like they say, no beginning.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
no end. There is only now. So if this now continues into the next now, then we're in the groove. We try to stay in the groove. That's why people don't like. I have a girlfriend who's completely trapped. She doesn't want to stop the going from like the festival circuit. I mean,
Yeah,
how do you or kind of just traveling, because you can get into the groove and you can stay in that groove.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's a world, there's so many worlds people can engage in now. People can
Yeah.
be where they want to be.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
people need I have friends people need jobs for ground, not just for the money, but for the
Like a
for
purpose.
the structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People need like to make art, or you need things
Mm-hmm.
that I meditate every day. I meditate in my
Yeah.
practice space every day. I have routines I have to do to keep me balanced. I mean, over years
And to
of
keep
years.
aware of the flow, like the little things that pop up that lead you to this next little place. And
Yeah. To
You,
keep that
you
grounded
have to stay
awareness.
steady. Rock steady. You have to stay steady.
in
and
your who you are,
How-
in
In
your
who you are.
energy.
everybody does it differently. You can't be in someone else's groove. Someone else may be going too fast for you. You have to be. You have
So
to know
true.
what your own timing is. Like what I did when I did it. Not a lot of people could have done it.
Mhm.
What I did when I did it, not a lot of people could have done it. They could. They weren't alive. There was
Yeah.
no way for them to
Yeah.
do it because they weren't born yet.
Yeah.
So
It's hard. We were looking at your pictures, and I was like, we've talked about this before. Women like us, like where kind of what you do, your life becomes your art. And seeing your pictures, like your life is your art. And it's hard sometimes to look at a life so beautiful and so big, and you're doing all these beautiful things that express you, and not be like, I need to be doing more. I need to do. I'm really
Yeah,
working on
right.
unfolding in my own time.
well, you have to. There's
Yeah.
I have always been myself. And I have always been myself. I mean, I
amazing.
have always been myself. Not that everybody has always been crazy about that. People have not always liked that. I mean, we can go way back. We can go back to the first grade. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
I had a sadist for a first grade teacher. She was not into me.
Yeah.
I was a very beautiful little girl.
Yeah.
I was really a beautiful child.
Yeah.
She hated me. She did horrible things to me.
Wow.
Children need to be protected.
Did you know at that time the injustice that was going on?
Well, you
and
don't.
that-
We it's like I was
Right.
going. Oh, hello. I've just read the Fifth Amendment or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know.
Is it the Fifth? I don't even know what
I
the
don't know.
amendment, whatever that amendment was. Like, no, I mean, no,
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I mean, of course.
You
no,
feel it.
You feel it.
Well,
You
of
remember,
course. I
you
mean,
look
I was a
back and you go,
child. I was
"Hey."
like 4 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
5. I mean, no, I left school. I
Oh,
walked
wow.
home over a mile by myself.
You're like,
I
F this.
no, I left the playground. I mean, I left school. It was a long walk home,
You're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
and then I got sick. I did.
Wow.
That was it.
Yeah.
I got really sick.
Like, I'm not doing this.
No,
Wow,
I
first grade little warrior.
I got really
Oh.
sick. I had like 104-degree
Whoa.
fever. I mean, I was
Burning
really
up,
I
yeah.
was really sick.
Yeah.
I was kind of
You're inspiring because
I was
being
done.
ourselves is what we all just desperately want to do. I mean, at our basis level is become remember who we are. And it's so hard like in this world when you're looking at everyone else and you're like, is there a right way or is
We're being
there
told
some
by
It's a
so
big-
many
being
other
it's a-
told, like
forces
who's
to
me
not.
and who's someone else?
My friend Justin and I have a big joke. Like, who's you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's you? I love my friend. I love Justin. Justin, I love you.
Hey.
Justin's
Hey,
Justin's
Justos.
Justin's a golden sheep.
Oh,
I have a whole sheep
The
group.
golden, it's your, what is flock?
Well, I'm a wood sheep. They're
Yeah,
golden
your
sheep.
flock.
But it is, these things where being true to yourself. Of course, it is a lifetime of these things. It's
Oh
not
my
like I
gosh,
didn't
I
look.
know.
It's not like I didn't grow up with, I grew up with Leave It to Beaver. These families on television.
This is how you're supposed
This
to be.
is horrible, and then you come back to your own, our
I can
family,
only imagine.
screaming and we're the loudest family on the block, and the overgrown yard, and just
Yeah.
just everything. And family.
And everything then too was like the Brady Bunch, where everything's solved in half an hour and everyone gets along.
But
and
the thing
everything
is,
fine.
I came from a very complex family.
Yeah.
Well,
we all do. That's
every
reality.
family
Every
is-
We're all
single- Can we
weird.
just give that up? That everyone's like, my family's weird, you guys. And I'm like, every
Everybody's-
family is weird.
Yeah.
There's to
Every
degrees.
one.
Some families are more. Some people they have more balance.
Yeah.
Some families actually.
You go two
Rarely,
ants down,
though.
and there's some
I know.
weird
You
stuff.
Go, you
But
go a
the-
few steps
there-
up, and they're not that
There is
balanced.
everybody is in a human body.
Yes.
We have all been reincarnated at this time together. We are a huge family. We are big,
Yeah.
big family. And
Yeah.
everybody has to, at some time or another, has to come to terms with their own particular family, because that's why I believe we were
Amen.
born into that family. And
Yep.
that is
Yeah.
why I came back to Seattle after 18 years of having a wonderful, I've had everything in New York, but I had to come back because I felt that my grandmother was dying. That was I kept knowing that she was dying, but
Yeah.
death is not something we always talk about in my family. But I came back,
It's coming.
and I came back because of her, and also I didn't have a place to live anymore. I could have had a place to live.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
No,
exactly,
I
that's the
could
thing.
have. I
Yeah.
could have been at the Chelsea Hotel. I had there were lots of opportunities for me, but I just had this magnetic pull. Though there was one, I could almost got pulled. I could have almost
Yeah.
stayed. There was some
Mhm.
boy that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
There was somebody. I was getting it was really late at night. It was hot. It was summer.
hot,
It was my
sexy
last
summer nights, you
summer
feel
in New
feverish.
York,
Yeah,
and
fever, street
I was living
fever.
at the Chelsea on the 10th floor.
Aw.
Ooh, lots of tens in your life.
There's
It pulls
always
you
gonna
back.
be. It'd be too easy if every decision didn't have the boy or the
Of
thing or
course.
the palm
Are you
tree I could have stayed
sure?
under in that.
I
hammock.
knew
sure?
I had to come back, and then I came back here, and I got completely grounded. I came back to live in my parents' attic. I cannot tell you how, it was just 18 years in New York, and everyone I'd hung out with and been with, and everything I had done, and all of a sudden, I am back at home. And then I got and then getting depressed. I got so depressed. And
It's
I've
part
done
of
it. I
that.
feel
Oh,
like
we've
it's a part
done
of
it.
No,
any
it's
crazy
just
artist
like-
traveler's life. Like, you gonna go back home at some
Right.
But
point.
it's just because I didn't do yard work, and now I'm back home. We're still not doing yard work,
Some things don't change, okay?
right?
Some things
Yeah,
don't change.
that's when you really know who you are. It's like 10 years later, I'm still not doing yard work.
So it's so funny. I'm in the attic in my parents' house, which is open, so I can hear everything. And so I was saying to my parents, I one morning for breakfast, I said, I could hear them laughing. They're making so much noise, my mom and dad. So you're laughing and you're talking so loud. My dad said, yeah, well, we can hear you upstairs, chanting, burning incense. They were probably ready to have me,
Of course.
Were they not woo woo?
Oh, woo! It's so funny that you're even saying. It's so
I
funny
know.
with your woo woo,
Yeah.
because when
Woo-woo.
people
Like to throw
say
it on
that,
their face.
when people say, oh, woo woo, I'm thinking, oh, right, yeah, woo woo. They were not woo woo.
No.
And I'm glad you're taking back woo woo, because we're gonna say
Yeah.
it like
Yeah.
woo woo,
Woo woo.
woo woo,
Woo woo.
woo woo,
Yeah.
woo
Hey.
woo, woo woo.
Everything's a little bit woo woo woo
Woo woo
Woo, woo, woo,
Magic. It's all
He
beauty.
lays
It's
an
magic.
eyebrow.
It's
Yeah.
the flow of life. life, and I'm like, oh, and when
It's
people
flowy.
say it sarcastic, they go, that's a little woo. I'm like, it's a little magic you don't have in your life, and I got it.
Well, oh, no, but
And
you
if
want to bring
want
the
some, we could share it.
because you're inclusive. I'm inclusive too.
Yeah, we
No, I-
want people to be in the
every
mood
day-
flow.
Every day, my mantra,
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I
If you
was
guys are
hitting
hearing
These little
some
sounds
fancy
are Lady
Is my
Krishna's beautiful
sounds,
jewelry.
It's because she's a musician with her jewelry.
every day. Oh my God! I mean, I left.
Share your mantra. I want to hear your
Well,
mantra.
first of all, when I first came back here, and that is almost 20. I think it's almost. I can't believe it. It's almost 20 years ago. And I was in the university. I was standing in line at the post office at the University of near on at the Ave, at the University
On
of
the Ave.
Washington
Oh, yeah.
post office.
Ninth
And
Circle
I
of
was
Hell.
standing in line, and it's just I cannot even tell you physically how slow
Time is different
for
in
me.
the
No,
postal
but not just that. Seattle, the whole
Oh,
what it was
energy.
like for me. I mean, yesterday it was all of a sudden it was because everybody was away for the eclipse. It was like, I liked it. It was like this was like what's going on? I was like this is like old Seattle because everybody was gone. But when I came back from New York and I was in the U District at the post office waiting in line, I was. What am I? It was crazy, and this is what happened. There was a person in front of me. This guy. There was a man and then girl, and they were totally, team sweatshirts,
Yeah.
whatever it was, Montana,
Sports
whatever it
on
was,
Husky.
and they were husky, and they were blonde, and he was like they were like hair
preppy and
yeah,
put
and then I
together.
looked at them, and I was like, oh my, and I was completely, I felt judgmental. And then all of a sudden, this is 20 years, then all of a sudden, click. And then I just said to myself, I said, who are you to judge them? In line, I mean, almost was crying. I said, who are you? You don't know them. How dare you judge these people? Just because I left Seattle originally because of down jackets. If I ever saw another,
It was the fleece for
if
me.
I ever saw another down jacket, and I hate beer.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean the smell of it. I mean, I had to get out of town.
Yeah.
So I looked at them and I said, I just said, I'm sorry. I said, please forgive me. It was all mental. I looked at them. I said, please forgive me. I have I don't like to be judged either.
That was my second trip around here. I left because the fleece the first time. I said, I'm turning into a fleece monster. I don't know who I am. I just keep wearing all this performance gear. And I shot out. And when I came back, I came so much more humble and more loving. I love this town. The people are one smile away from being the warmest people you ever knew.
The guy,
and it changed everything for me.
he turned around. He turned around and smiled at me.
Of course.
And
You feel energy.
And I was in a pair, and I was in a pair of red leather pants. I had on like a bomber jacket, and I had huge blue hair.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly, I mean.
You get to interpret smiles however you want in this town. People smile at me. I'm like, I'm going to just take that the best way possible.
But I just decided, I just try. I mean, in Seattle was definitely difficult this was not
That's a night and day.
Well, from 18
Seattle
years in New York
Seattle
and
was
then back.
Seattle was the cold. This was the coldest place coming back to. I mean, it was not. And this took so much time for things to warm up for me, for Seattle, and every day opening the New York Times, and I know somebody in the art section. So I had to transcend all ego, not being in New York.
Yeah.
Not being in New York, because that's a huge part of your sense of self, was that you lived through another day. I mean, that was the other thing. You get home, like, you knew you were strong, and we used to carry our keys like that. I mean, you didn't have to use them usually, but you put your keys through here, and you have them. I had muffs. I had beautiful, so I had my hands in my muff. I used to
You
carry.
could take them out with and stab if you needed
Well,
to.
you mostly, I'm more of a runner. I'm much more of a. I mean, I know how to defend myself verbally, which
Yep,
I
me too.
have. I have saved my
I'm more
life.
of a flight than a fight. Like
Well,
if I have to fight, I will, but I'll flight first.
No, it's really good too. Like the pandas, which I found out recently is one of my spirit animals.
Aw.
Woo woo, everybody.
Spirit animals on semi-woo.
We should
always.
get like a like a little thing that would go ding. You know, like
Oh, I
that
should
would
have
be.
brought my
This
little
is a moment
symbols.
of woo.
You know what I mean? Like when
Yeah.
it goes woo, ding. Like the star says,
The
stars
sparkle thing.
sparkles are flying, sparkles are
I like your
coming
little
down,
phone.
sparkles
could
are
do that.
coming down.
That's so fun. When I moved to New York, I went straight to Ecuador so that I wouldn't have to have this loss of the New York energy. I was like, I gotta stay up here. It really. I always thought I'd live here for 20 years and I'd do it all.
did
And we
too.
missed this wave of energy that we thought New York was gonna be like. Like we're comedians, so we're like, we're gonna go there and we're gonna
The
do
two
our
of you?
craft.
Yeah, that's why we went to
And
New
we're gonna
York.
do comedy.
So
We're
like,
gonna
we're gonna
make
go to
these
the
weird little
biggest
shows,
town. We're
and
gonna
we're
do
gonna be
entertainment.
ourselves.
We're here. You're doing it. You're so
And we
beautiful.
are.
I love them.
yeah.
so-
We started in San Diego. We did some here. We did sketch here. We had shows
Beautiful
here.
Oh,
scene
that's
here.
why you're so. That's why
Amazing.
I feel like I'm watching like a TV really close. I'm like watching the live show really fast, and not like the live show on when someone drags you into bed for the live show. No, thank you.
No.
This
love
is better.
this.
No, this is better than sex.
Oh,
That's
dang.
the best review.
Wow,
Can we
that's the
quote
best
you?
review.
Can we
Can
quote
you
you?
write this down?
Heather Amanda Hirsch,
Better
comedy is
than sex, Lady Krishna.
Better than sex.
I love it. But
You're
yeah, we
so
went to
sweet.
New York, and I had this. I think this was a big learning for me. What you're talking about nostalgia, because I was a huge New York file, and like Woody Allen-ness and posters. I mean, I was just like, I had had a dream for so long, and I was like, I'm gonna do it in New York on the street, talking. And I wanted to, and I from being from California, where people are like talkative and warm, to coming to Seattle, where I had felt the coldness and the kind of hey, and people not, I was like, I want to be in New York where everyone's like, hey,
In
hey,
your
how you
face.
doing? Hey, fuck you, here's a bagel. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do
We
the thing
wanted
where there's
to-
the energy and the talking and the eye contact. Even if
We're
it's-
having it now. We're having it now.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I. That's
We're having the
what
eye contact.
Yeah.
I love it. So I went there, but then I was like, I realized that the New York, at least when I was there, just seemed to be more like either you have like mad money from like your family or something, or mad connections. And being in the service industry, it was like, it felt more like being a servant there than being in service. Like, I love being in service. I love being in restaurants and bartending and that.
We're
but-
okay to serve
Yeah,
I
like
a
that.
meal if we can do our art.
I
Yeah.
understand. It
Yeah.
gets sometimes it gets confused. It's gotten confusing to me from a spiritual point of view, where you're in service, because if you're looking at things from a spiritual point of view, we're
Always.
you're in you switch things around so that you can love.
Yeah.
Or how do you do this gracefully? How can you do? I mean, do you know there's a sect of nuns in Japan that are so they're completely interested. I mean, to the to overcome any kind of repulsion of any kind of bodily function or body consciousness, in a way that they I never want to go to this extreme to clean the latrines with my head, the hair,
Oh my.
but they would go to the extreme
Wow.
where they would know, like, to not have any repulsion about it.
Wow. Yeah.
And I don't know where that book is, which I read
It's
1,000 years. But it has to do with what I don't know how we got onto that subject of service. It has to do with service.
Yeah.
How do you serve? And of course, being in the service industry, and how do you? Because lots of people, and I was a coat check girl in New York.
Oh, you
Yeah.
were?
That was
Ooh,
my
that's
job.
a hot job.
I was a coat check girl for 7 years. That was the only job
Yeah.
I could figure out where I wasn't so overwhelmed. Because when you're waiting tables, it's
It's
very
overwhelming,
it's very
energetically.
it's very there's and still I admire waitresses,
You
unbelievable.
hold a lot of space and carry a heavy energetic load.
Yes.
And
And
then
you're dealing
there's-
with so many different people's
No, and
energy
then
at the same
Yeah.
time.
money,
Making people's
food.
happiness. People are hungry.
It's everything.
We
all,
don't mind doing it, but in New York, with the disparity of money,
Of
we
money,
felt the
yeah.
class system. We're
Well,
from the West
still
Coast.
it's here.
You can be anything.
but
it's
it's
here.
It's here too.
But on the West Coast,
Not
you can
nearly
do
as
anything
much. Like
you
here, I
want.
feel like in the service industry, people are respected. Like restaurateurs are respected. People who serve, bartenders are very.
Well, in New York,
respected.
everybody was. I mean, in our world, I feel
Yeah.
like Harry,
Right,
in
yeah.
our world,
Yeah.
In my world, it didn't pan out that way. But I didn't end up having enough money to have enough time to do my art, so I couldn't be running around.
Well, you
doing,
can't.
like,
I mean,
the
remember,
research didn't happen.
remember
Didn't happen for me.
my floor through on Avenue B.
Yeah.
You have to remember was $300 a month,
Right.
and we still were struggling for money.
Right.
You know?
Those weren't available. We're paying.
No,
Yeah.
no, I
It's
know. What I'm
insane. I know.
saying
Right.
is that now it has to do with Seattle now. I mean, the money part of it. Seattle now is like what New York was 20 years ago in building.
And
I mean,
getting there.
money, these things. And now, so
expensive
it's
here.
it's a question of all of us to, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Everything is going to be fine. Everything is working out for all of us. Everything is working out.
Things are always working out for me.
Stay positive. Everybody, to say, as far as I cultivate, I really do. There's love all is one. That doesn't mean you have to hang out with everybody.
Mhm.
Not everybody's going to want to hang out with me. And the number one, do not be a fault-finding person.
Yeah.
Try not to find fault with others and not with yourself. Not to say that you're not developing. And then I try to figure out all the time. How do you...
It's a hard balance sometimes.
You just
yeah.
have to keep... it's not
Looking
like
for the good. I mean,
it's not-
if you spend your time looking for the good, the fault finding happens a little bit less. And
It
some
does,
days I'm
that's
not
true.
as good at it as others.
all of
but-
us. I'm not saying everything was perfect yesterday with my mom.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't say it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
With my mom, the stress, the level of,
Right.
the big joke with,
Energy around family.
I mean, the big joke with me growing up is that every time we got in the car, it was like we're going to Auschwitz. That was just going to the grocery store. I
Yeah.
remember having this epiphany. We were at the university bookstore, and I looked around. It's like everything's in slow motion around me. Everything's like the other people. There's like this slow motion.
Yeah.
And with us, it's just like this. It's like this the level of intent. Our family. I mean, the
Yeah.
intensity.
Energy, the
And
risk,
how quickly you can
the
get there.
grooves.
But we were not in the Seattle groove growing up. I grew up here. I grew up
amazing.
in Seattle. We were
You
we
guys
were
weren't, but you weren't in. You weren't.
we
in
were
that
we were
quiet
outs we were
Seattle.
outsiders.
I think most of us has always been a little bit of outsiders.
We had a
that I
Packard
love now.
convertible.
Ooh.
A 1953 turquoise Packard convertible with red leather
Seattle.
seats.
A convertible. And then.
And we used to go to Denny Blaine. That was our swimming place. And Denny Blaine in the 60s was the peace. It was the peacenik. It was the peace people. It was all because there was no
Oh,
lifeguard.
wow.
That's why we
Yeah.
went there. It was all there were women smoking cigarettes in one-piece bathing suits with red fingernails and lipstick. Intellectuals from New York. They were all,
Wow.
and there were a lot of intellectuals, a lot of university people
Yeah.
who
Sure.
were at Denny Blaine, anti-war people.
Yeah.
And then it became like hippies.
Yeah.
But Denny Blaine was always a radical beach. This wasn't the
No
first
idea.
time, children. Everybody
Okay.
thinks they.
Oh no! Everyone thinks. Have you heard of Denny Blaine? You
No,
can be
Denny.
topless
We've been
there,
going
and
to
you
Denny
can-
Blaine
yeah.
since I was a little girl, and they didn't have those. I'm sorry, those bushes are fucked up. They should take away those bushes.
Oh, what are the bushes? I
Yeah,
don't- I
that
don't
people
know.
can jump
they
out
can't-
on the. No, why
Oh.
are those bushes? They put bushes. They landscape.
To block the nudity, I bet.
No, take away the bushes. What if someone's swimming and you need to see?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's take away the bush. Bring back the bush and take
Right.
away those
Amen.
bushes.
Bush for bush.
But no,
Amen.
take away
Pussy
those.
hair, don't care.
Pussy, I don't care.
We sell these T-shirts
We actually
on our
used. We
Instagram.
had a
next
sketch
few
called
weeks we will.
What?
Pussy Bush, and
Pussy
it
Bu-
was
oh, it's-
about fighting to keep your vagina
Yeah.
hair.
It was
That's a
called- we
different
made a
story
whole
too.
Well,
bunch.
the only reason I haven't been wearing like the bring back the bush. Muff, bring back the muff, not the bush, not the bush. We don't want back the bush back.
Not
The
that
wear it-
bush.
wear it-
These
Not that
bushes
bring back-
are
Good
lady
one.
bushes.
But the
Good
reason
one.
why I don't do bring back the muff is because I love my esthetician, and that's the bread and butter.
I like my sugarist.
no,
and
I-
I'm like, oh, I don't want to stop.
No. That's the bread and butter. So whatever she wants to do with me, that's fine.
There you
No,
go.
you have to support.
Yeah.
It's
And
true.
I.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is a good question for you.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah, we'll
right
round it
now
out.
in your life, and this is something that I am kind of coming into in the past few years, is like how, and the people I'm meeting are all coming around me like this. It's like, how do we, or as an artist or as anyone who makes their life in art, and any artist that you are, how do you make your quote unquote living really just being yourself? Like, how did you develop that in a way that you can, in the majority of your life, live exactly how you want, have enough money, pay the bills, and still 100% be yourself? As
Well,
an
I mean,
artist?
it's taken a long. Well, we're still trying. I'm still. I mean,
You're working.
at it.
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing right now? What's your life like day to day right now?
Well, day to day right now. After this, I'm going to the hospital. My dad's in the hospital. I'm going to spend the night with him tonight. My life is at Cherry Hill
Wow.
for the next month.
Wow.
So right now, because I don't have a regular job,
Mm-hmm.
I have time.
That's
So I'm hanging out with my
Share with your
dad.
family, yeah.
I'm hanging out with my father. But as far as money and these, I mean, there's so many different periods,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been, you know, it's taken a long time to figure. I mean, it wasn't like it was just. It's taking a long time to figure. I mean, it's not like everything wasn't just crazy. I mean, in New York, I go from one, I work for a hat designer, so I go from one place and it was freezing, and then traipse, and then you get to, go down, walk over to Marion's. I was a coat check girl in the snow, and then the coat room was never warm enough, and the door was always
Yeah.
blowing open.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like, and everybody's smoking then. So the
Yeah.
whole bar, you can smoke, so the bar, and my girlfriend Marianne was the bartender, so I know that, and what I'm trying to say is like all these different periods, it's not like
Mhm.
you can just,
You're like, here was my plan.
Distill it down. I
there was
know.
never, it wasn't like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't even, as far as having a plan, the only thing that was, the plan, some of the plan is not even, we don't even know what the plan is, because I think that is mapped out. Some of the plan is mapped out by the divine beloved. They have a plan. There's a goddess, God, divine beloved plan. God is God, the divine beloved, God with form, without form, however you want to describe it. There is a plan for us. There is a plan. And so the plan changes. So it was never my plan
Right.
to ever come back to this town. It was not my plan that I saw myself back in Seattle. It wasn't my plan that I would be sitting watching television or a movie with my ex and his wife, that I would be sitting between them watching
Wow.
TV. It was not my plan. I mean, I wouldn't even let anybody sit on our bed. I was a little possessive of us.
Yeah.
It wasn't my
Wow.
plan that I'd be hanging out with Will and Jessica. But I love them. I love him. I love
Yeah.
her. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
What wasn't my plan, but I'm hanging
Yeah.
Yeah.
with them. I mean, because I want this to, and that took time. It
Yeah.
took some time. So as far as like making a living, we're working at that.
Yeah.
Still, no,
Always.
I'm on the verge of, let's get my last 60 painting show. She Bleeds, Lady Krishna, menstruation, menopause. She bleeds for me.
Wow.
Lady Krishna, menstruation, menopause. She bleeds for me. Those 60 paintings, that my vintage handkerchief collection, 18 years, plus my girlfriend Lori's grandmother's handkerchiefs that she gave me. She didn't know what to do with. She knew I would take care of them. I'm really good at. I have everybody's grandmother's things. They know I take care of things.
Wow.
I have my grandmother's dishes. I have things from New York. People would give me. They know I would take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have art. I've taken care of it. I have the first pair of platform shoes I ever wore and bought at Nordstrom's for $20, made in Italy.
Wow.
Platforms.
Amazing.
And I have all. I took care of, and getting them rehealed was more than what I paid for them.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna get right now for me. As far as like how do we keep, like, I've kept working.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I did that show that show. I do have. I'll send an email to the person at the Fry. I mean, it's not that I will get an email together. Some with me, some of it is following through, but I do the work, and then it's
me too.
following part of.
It's not
Some of
always
it
easy.
isn't. I can't blame everybody. Like, I can't blame. Like this year, I was standing in front of Crybaby, and I was like, there was going to be a sort of like bitching about. I was on the rag about, even though that hasn't really been happening, but I was on the rag about. I wasn't invited to be at Block Party. You know, people I know who put a band together for 2 seconds. They're at Block Party, but then I realized, and then I was talking to a woman like, well, you know, she is a promoter. I didn't really call her last year. I mean, I could have made some. I could make some positive.
I
move.
hate when I realize
Yeah,
like,
no,
oh, I can
No,
help myself
some of
too.
this is sometimes it's fine. So part of what it is, I am also figuring out where, you know, having the income. Like I have a huge and gorgeous body of work
Sure.
Yeah.
from the day one, and this work is beautiful, if I do say so myself.
Awesome.
Part of it is that it was inspired, and I've been careful with it. So I have a lot of good work. You know, I have a lot of work, so I'm sitting on it. So but I got very gun shy. I was sick of the New York art world. I mean, I saw what it did to a lot of, you know, my.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't. I showed. I mean, I was showing in the East Village, so I have the art, and the point is about, like, you know, juggling these things. You know, you know, now people have, like, how many people living. You know, people are in New York. People were living in lots of people sharing. There were squat. You
yeah.
know,
Like,
you know,
8 people in 2 rooms.
well, you know the big joke. Girl who has an apartment always has a boyfriend. But it wasn't always that. It wasn't even. He wasn't even that. I mean, it wasn't
I
even.
haven't
true
heard that, and
sometimes.
that's so true.
But you
It
know, but
is.
it wasn't even. I lived with a lot. It wasn't that. I mean, I lived with a lot of different people
Sure.
for not. It wasn't just that they were being mercenary. I mean, I
No.
was in love with.
of course,
people.
yeah.
We've had upwards of 40 roommates, but
But I
He has
had.
some big
Yeah.
I
houses.
have always.
Probably more.
I lived alone. I was always
Yep.
able to live alone for most of the time. I mean,
Wow.
not all the time in New York, and I didn't in Brooklyn. And I lived in a very dangerous, very dangerous, very dangerous, very dangerous, very dangerous. Worse than the very dangerous. I mean, it was so dangerous in Brooklyn. I mean, it was dangerous. I mean, I may have been a part of the pioneering, quote unquote. And when we say pioneering, what does that mean? That means that means artists coming to a neighborhood that is people are already living there. So we
Yeah.
are in a neighborhood with Puerto Rican,
Dominican, black.
you name it. There's in the East Village. Now Brooklyn, very Dominican and tough.
Yep.
I mean, that is, people are not fucking around at all. That was a very, 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 very dangerous neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not a lot of artists, quote, you know, like a lot of kids moving. It was not like it is today.
One question: was it dangerous?
I just need to know.
I didn't. We want to. We're gonna take this full circle and wrap it up. We want to like pump up. You're doing some really cool stuff.
Oh, you are so funny. I want to get that show.
Yes.
I wanna
we
get
wanna
that-
pump up your shows. And
I-
all
well,
Well,
that.
that
Now's your
show,
time.
that
Promo.
show, that show that I did, that art show was, I had all those girlfriends. I had 28 women, my girlfriends, you know, menstruate on the handkerchiefs.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And then I did the 60 paintings on the 5 pillars. It turns out 5, number of the goddess. So on every level, it fell into place.
Right.
Even though I did every
Is
level.
this a show that still needs to be planned and it's coming to us?
No, it happened last year at Fred Wildlife for 4 days.
Oh,
And then,
Fred.
but then the Peppermint Lounge, Lady Krishna's Peppermint Lounge played that show.
Damn,
But
that's a good show.
this needs to be seen at a museum. That's
Okay.
why, and it's boxed up in my apartment. There's no,
Wow.
when you come over, you'll see there's hardly any room for me to live
Oh
in my
my
apartment. And I
gosh.
have a big place. I have I'm running out of space with art. I mean, there's no. I had to
Yeah.
move into the kitchen to work.
Ah,
There's no place for
Wow.
me anymore to work.
yeah.
And I have a
Does he have
big place. I mean, some people tell me I have a
would
big
love to
place.
see that.
I have a
I
My apartment is
know.
so beautiful.
Oh
and,
my
And the
gosh.
windows are clean.
Yeah.
The window washer. I found the window washer came.
Oh, you
Windows
need
are
one of those.
clean.
Oh,
need a
I met
window
the most
washer.
wonderful window washer.
You gotta get his name.
His name is
Yeah.
Dusty Fox. I looked.
I
I
need to
said,
meet me some Dusty Fox.
I said you
He
have
sounds cute.
you have a stripper name,
I know.
He does.
and he's wonderful.
I'm blushing.
I love that name. I would
So,
like a name
but
like
and
that.
then are we almost at the? Are we coming to a?
Yeah.
We just wanted
yeah.
to know. Yeah, we
And
we
it-
also wanted to know like what anything else you'd like to promote.
Well,
that
my
you
record
do.
is coming out.
Okay,
Oh,
talk to
that's
us
big.
about it.
My
I love it.
my record is coming out. They're sending the proof to Everyday Music because I'm not going to be home.
cool.
I'm
Oh,
going to
the
be at the
record
hospital with
store.
my dad.
Yeah.
So they're
Right.
sending the proof. I had to call the place that sends things like
Yeah.
DHH.
Oh, DHL.
DHL. So I had to call them and get a new address. That I know them there. You know, DJ Hans is at
Yeah.
Everyday Music.
Oh.
Oh,
DJ
cool.
Hans Wednesday nights
Oh.
from
Hey.
9 to 1 loves Lady Krishna, and Lady Krishna's Peppermint Lounge loves Cosmic Panties.
Oh.
Hans,
Shouting that
DJ
out.
Hans, Wednesday
Woo-hoo.
nights, KXP loves Cosmic Panties.
Ooh, I
Okay.
want to listen.
And anybody who
That's a good
loves
shout
Cosmic
out.
Panties, I love. And
Mm.
I love Hanoi. What a great thank you, God.
Yeah.
So he's been playing us on the air, and I'm sure if you call up and
amazing.
want to hear some Cosmic
Yeah,
Panties,
I do.
I bet he'll play some Cosmic Panties. So the record, the record is coming out.
Cool.
But
Cool.
first,
When? So everybody
well,
knows.
here's what we're doing.
Okay.
First, most important, Shiva Bala Ananda is coming to Seattle.
I heard about that.
There'll be 4 programs so far on September 21st through the 25th. There'll be 4 programs starting at 8 Limbs, Expand Yoga in Tacoma, Ritual House on that
Oh,
Sunday. I
nice.
would love Ritual House, their new space. It's a yoga studio on 19th. There's a space, and now there's going to be a new space. We're going to bless that new space with Shiva Bala Ananda. It's a beautiful,
Cool.
beautiful, beautiful room.
Oh.
Beautiful room with they're doing all sorts of woo things.
Yeah.
Lots of wooing
Lots of
going
woo-ness.
on, very wooing. And then there'll be a day program on Monday at the Vajra on 10th. And I call that
Okay.
V10.
Ah.
V10,
I know that
Vajra
place.
on 10th, which is
Okay.
I got
in-
some incense there.
no, that's the Vajra on Broadway, but
Oh,
the same
that is
owner,
what I was thinking of.
Rachel,
Oh,
that's her
yeah,
shop.
That's the Vajra on Broadway.
Now that's the Vajra where you get the supplies,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then you go to the V10.
Ah.
And that's the most beautiful meditation room you have seen on the
Oh.
planet. And
10th and what?
10th between Numos,
Okay.
between Pine
And
Pike.
Union?
and Union, and they go down you go down the ramp,
Whoa.
and it is beautiful.
Oh.
And Rachel hosts Rebel Saints meditation for like lots of people in recovery. She's a wonderful
Cool.
person, wonderful, beautiful space. And so she will
Very cool.
host Shiva Balananda
Wow.
with
my
I'll be
gosh.
I'll be at all the programs. He's a direct disciple of Shiva Bala Yogi. He's on the North American tour from Bangalore.
Wow.
And we have Holy Ash that is blessed for healing. It is blessed for meditation. And if there's anything that I do that keeps me together with everything, it is having this meditation practice. And I've been, having a meditation practice, 18 years,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Mhm.
And they found maybe the gurus always find you because I have a name like Lady Krishna.
Okay.
Then they, even though it was a joke originally, a little bit from the Jivamukti Far East.
Uh-huh.
When you
Yeah.
get a name like that, then all of a sudden
Oh.
it was meant. It was
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yep.
I met
How
things
met
are.
Amma, became a devotee of Amachi. Amma, the hugging saint.
Oh,
Amma.
Amma. Yeah,
I'm-
one of our good friends in
what
New York. Who's,
Love Amma. I've been
loves
love
Amma.
Amma. Met her
Love
20
hugging.
years ago.
I want to meet Amma.
You'll meet
Yeah.
Amma. You'll meet
Mhm.
Amma. So that's what's coming up. And then after the Guru, after Shiva Balananda, I'm going to put all my energy, into that.
Mhm.
My father getting
Sure.
healthy
Mhm.
again. I mean, he's getting healthy. My father.
course.
Hey, everybody out there, please send your love
Ooh,
to
send your woo.
send your
happy
woo.
Yeah.
To
Your
my-
healing woo.
to my Baba,
Healing woo.
to my dad, Baba. We call my dad Baba,
Baba.
and we call my mom
So
We
Donna.
love you, Baba.
And so after that, then we'll have we're going on tour in Seattle. We're going on a Seattle Capitol Hill tour.
We need to team up and do like a woo-woo,
yes.
semi-woo band thing.
If you ever need
part-
comedians to open for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because we'll be doing a show. The record is called Lady Krishna's Live at Linda's.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
With bonus tracks by Lady Krishna's Peppermint Lounge. The record is so beautiful. I can't even stand it.
Oh,
Everything fell into place. Thank you, Ava, for being the designer. I couldn't have done this without Ava.
Do you have a release date yet or not yet?
We don't, because I want to see when we get
yeah,
the records.
it'll fall into
Right.
that play. Right. Aren't you doing something in Soto?
Oh yes, thank you
Yes.
thank you so
Oh,
much.
with our good friend Kate. Who was
Yeah,
on-
Kate
who
Ryan.
did an interview on our show a few weeks ago.
Is she doing something too?
At that show, she'll be doing sound
She's
bowls?
doing. I think she's doing. She does sound healing and sound bowls.
She's
Like,
an
Oh,
amazing musician.
Amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Then I'll be chanting.
Yeah.
So maybe she'll
Awesome.
maybe she'll even
You guys
team
you
up
guys
with
are gonna
me.
do
Oh,
this.
you have to.
Maybe
I can't
she'll
wait.
maybe she'll do that while I
Yeah.
chant.
She painted her drum with her menstrual blood.
Menstrual
Oh,
blood,
so
yeah.
so we're sort of on the wavelength.
You guys are
Oh
on.
my
You
gosh.
guys
If
are.
you
So
want-
maybe
oh my
she'll
gosh.
maybe
You guys
she'll
together is gonna be
sound well because
amazing.
I was just going to chant and give
Yeah.
a blessing.
Yeah.
So that's on this Saturday.
Yep.
Or is it Sunday? The 26th?
No,
That
it's
is
Saturday.
Oh, it's Saturday.
It's
Okay.
Saturday the
Wow.
26th, and it's the ginger beer. John is having
Yeah.
his party in Soda.
Yeah.
Do we know? Do we have a Can we
We're
say?
gonna promo this out to everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're
just
gonna
so you
put
guys
this. All
know.
these things that you're saying. I want to
Yeah.
like shoot out to the masses.
So we'll
and-
know. We'll say it right. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll know how to say the right things. Okay.
Do we have it? Yeah.
And
This
then
has been absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
and then we'll do maybe we'll have another maybe when the record comes out.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
We need to.
maybe like some
We
sort
could
of
do
like
something
we can
live or
we
something.
we're planning in the next few months live podcast where we're actually at an event, like hosting it, listening
Or
to
maybe
it, everything.
then we could do something before
Oh, yeah.
Cosmic the record when
Cool.
right before the record comes out. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful, and
Right,
we'll be
and
doing
promote.
stuff all over Seattle.
Oh my gosh,
I mean,
it's gonna be
Capital
so fun.
Everyday Music, Linda's. We're
I
gonna have a
love
party
Linda's.
at Oddfellows.
Oh heck yeah.
Velocity is throwing a dance
Ooh,
party
heck
for
yeah.
me.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh.
Rove.
Dancers right here.
Rove, the
Oh,
clothing.
the little shop,
the-
little
the-
boutique.
She
Mm-hmm.
Rachel,
So
who-
cute.
she's she's throwing a champagne reception with the person who you
Dang.
just met, the other Heather.
Yeah. Oh, I met
So-
one of my tribeswomen.
We'll have lots of things, and chop suey. I'm going to play chop
Oh,
suey. I met the
yeah.
owner. He said please come and play.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And I said all right. If you still have a good green room.
Oh yeah.
Think
I
you
said-
got it all set
I said,
up.
where
You
is
got
that-
it all
Have you
set
seen
up.
So
that
we're-
green room? I've seen it.
I said where's that sign? I want that sign back. I
Yeah.
want the old, but I guess he still has it, so we
Oh,
can
that's
at least we
Wow.
can
He'll light it up in the green room.
Yeah.
good idea.
Oh,
Well, this has been
I
absolutely
know. I feel like we
amazing.
met one of our spirit sisters,
Yes.
and yeah, we're taking hands now. Thank you for joining us. This has been Lady
Woohoo!
Krishna,
These
tearing it up. We're
waves.
gonna share all of those awesome things coming up that you're doing, and thank you for your inspiration and
I
showing
know.
up in the world the way you do. It's
And
inspiring.
such a unique
And
being yourself.
If people want to find me on Instagram,
Yes.
I
Oh,
love.
yes.
I'm at Natasha Lady Krishna.
Yep.
Natasha Lady Krishna.
It's a
guys.
good Insta.
It's so fun. You can't
Thank
see
you.
it now because you're on a podcast, but her fashion and just beauty and expression is just very inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you
so
so.
fun.
Oh, thank you so much for
Ah,
having me
yeah.
today. Thank you.
Of
What a great. Thank you so
course.
much. And Om Namah Shivaya Jai Ma. Om Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Aim Shrim Shrim Sarasvati Devi Namaha.
Beautiful.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you out there
Thank
in
you,
in
guys.
Radio Land.
Check it out.